Hope everybody had a good week. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Making sure all my levels are together. Sounds like my mic is coming through low. Let's see. Testing 1 2. On my end, just the way that I had my mic set, my headphones set up. All right, so let's get into this. So this week, this weekend. So it is a somewhat long weekend with Monday being an early close, and also this weekend, with me being in the funding space, I think it would be appropriate for me to mention that there are some sales going on with Leeloo. Probably all of them, but the ones that I'm aware of is Leeloo, Earn a Trade, and Apex Trader Funding. The links for all of those are in the description below. But and then there's more funded programs that we've mentioned that are in the Discord, so you can check the Discord for like a bigger list. And also, I think I mentioned more of these different programs in that video that I made about funded trading. So that was part of the futures trading summer school. So just wanted to go ahead and mention that they are having a lot of sales. So far, the best one I've seen is with Apex Funding. They had 80% off all of their programs, which is, I feel like I'm maybe at max capacity, but that's even tempting to try to squeeze one more in there from my setup. We'll see. So that's I think that's going on for all of them all weekend. But anyway, let's get into this. Today we did have some employment type stuff, which did bring in some volatility. We were just hanging out sideways overnight, and then that brought in some volume, some participation, somewhat directional. They did take us outside of the neutral zone into the bull zone, but we're not really. I wouldn't call this a trend yet. Just some increased participation. Yesterday we saw a lot of participation to begin the month. I think that's just positioning for the month and rolling over contracts and all that stuff. It was my morning session was kind of tough to trade for me. Listening to other podcasts and other people, that sentiment was shared across the market as a whole. Yesterday was a pretty tough day to trade. Not a whole lot to go over that I can remember right now, but we'll see how today turns out. And I probably won't actually take a trade today. To be real, I'm ready for some R&R. Like, one of the key things when trading is listening to yourself and being true to yourself. And sometimes, whatever feelings that you have, it's just not even with trading, but whatever feelings that you're holding on to, whatever that may be, your body is most of the time trying to tell you something. And it's key to listen to that and just be aware of that and be honest with yourself. So let's see. Just going over making sure I got everything checked off. Look at the rest rest of the market as a whole. Pretty much the same thing with ES. Looks like it's trying to break out long. But we really haven't made our way outside of the range for ES. Just get an overall picture of my watch list this morning. It's so nice for the first year. So, I'm taking the rest of the month. Yeah, I felt that when you said it. Taking a break is definitely, I love this game, but sometimes a break is definitely much needed. So I'm definitely going to enjoy this quote unquote long weekend. I do got some things that I'm not going to be able to just completely rest on Monday. Got some things I got to focus on with the 9 to 5, but hopefully that doesn't really take up too much of my time on Monday. But, other than that, I'm going to definitely enjoy this weekend. May do some other things, but we'll see. I'm just playing it by ear. Same thing with RTY. YM is breaking. So YM was doing something different yesterday also, and it's jumping ahead of the game this morning. It broke that pivot that was created with that the 830 volatility jump. We'll see. Trying to make a run. We'll see how that turns out. I really overanalyzed this morning, just getting a real quick picture. Most of the things are range bound today. So YM's the only one that is really trying to make a trend. CL had a little jump during the Asian hours, during the session open, and it's been just range bound for the most part, slightly climbing higher for the rest of the session, but overall there's a lot of range across the board. Let me pull this up. Get the rest of my numbers. I'm supposed to be recording this as well, so make sure I got all that going. I was gonna also try to stream in some things I gotta figure out over the weekend also with the production of Futures Trade Radio. Pre-trading reminders. The only goal is to trade the strategy to perfection. Stick to your strategy. For me, let me see. Always keep the big picture in mind. Stay fearless. Trust yourself. And let's lock in. So this morning, my goal, what I'm gonna do, how am I trying to say this? I'm gonna narrate it a bit different. And I'm gonna do it from, I'm always talking about wholesale. So I'm gonna actually try to narrate this from the perspective of the wholesaler. And we're gonna see how that turns out. I want to say this in a way that it makes, trying to figure out how to, to paint to express the way that I read the market in the most helpful way as possible. And so a lot of times I can see the marketing from different perspectives, but I think it helps a lot of times, even for myself. So, as a note to, as just like a tip for trading, sometimes if you can see multiple perspectives, sometimes it helps to focus just on one perspective and just, read the market from that perspective and look at the benefits from both sides just from that one perspective. So we're gonna get into that this morning. That's how we're gonna attack this morning's action. What up, Wes? Got about 6 minutes before the bell. I'm going to making this decision right now. I probably won't take any trades, but if I do, it'll be in sim. Just keeping it real with myself. I'm not going to try to force myself to do anything that I'm not feeling. Always stay true to self. I'm gonna go on my checklist one more time, make sure I got everything and I'm fully ready to go. Gonna get quiet on the mic for a minute. All right, so I got my session high and my session low marked off. Another area of interest is the PR high, where we saw some participation at the economic event release. And before that, overnight, there was an area of supply. So that is an area, I didn't mark it off for my screenshot, but that's another area of interest that I'll be paying attention to. So just as a kind of understand wholesale a little bit, it's the same thing, but I'm going to explain it from the perspective of someone that's in retail arbitrage, that they're wholesaling, whatever it is. Let's just say we're wholesaling shoes. Go back to the analogy that I used in the breakdown of wholesale and all of that stuff, that document that I put in the Discord. But let's say we're wholesaling shoes and we're getting shoes for a discount and we're selling it to the market for a profit. That's the way that we're kind of looking at this. That's the perspective that I'm going to be holding as I narrate what the wholesaler is doing this morning. So of course, as always, we want to buy low and sell high. One other perspective that I don't think is understood a lot is, well, what does it mean for the wholesaler when price is trending to downward, or when it's selling off, or when we're getting lower prices, what I call discount. So when we're setting that up, and I may need to make a whole nother video for this to really go through it. I kind of narrated on something, but anyway, when we're setting that up when the wholesaler is looking to benefit from lower prices, they're going to try to make as much money as they can before we get to those discount prices. So you'll see that back and forth, that up and down, that what a lot of people call choppiness. That's the wholesaler trying to make as much money so that they can buy more inventory at a discount. So hopefully we see some of that this morning. Right now, we kind of saw some of that as we're opening up. We're almost a minute in. So right before the open, we had a little bit of this up and down price action to where we had inventory, sold some of it off, sold as much of that supply off. Once we have inventory and we sell it to the market, once we have inventory and ready to sell it, that becomes supply. So we sold some of that supply off, increased our balance or our budget for buying inventory at lower prices, and we're going to keep doing that as we try to get more of a discount. So right now we're holding that discount at 370, lifting off of 370, and the way that it's printing, it seems like the discount search wants to continue. And let me fix there we go, fix my focus. So as a wholesaler, we're not in this alone. We know that we can tell that there's participation around the 350 area, and we want to beat others in terms of getting inventory to lower prices. So we're going to front run where we know that other people are going to participate. We're trying to get as much inventory as possible. So we got a front run there, 350. Continuing to collect. So now we're taking those discounts. We're still in discount search mode. Holding that area of 350, or right, well, PR plus 1. is 343. Now see if our wholesaler has enough inventory, or do we want to keep? Yeah, we want to keep looking for lower prices. So we continue to search. We're going to sell some of this inventory as supply along the way, balancing our budget. Getting rid of any excess supply. In terms of that excess supply, there's also a point to where we just run out of customers to sell to, but we still have a lot of supply on hand. But we don't just want to try to sell it all at one time. We still want to try to sell that, for a profit as much as we can. But it gets to a point to where we just have to let go of supply so that we can get the budget that we want for the lower prices. And as the wholesaler, the money that we make is on the spread. So that difference between the buy and the sell, or the bid and the ask, still searching for discounts. I need a metaphor or an analogy for like these indicators, these popular indicators like VWAP. I am open to suggestions. VWAP is normally so it's like almost like MSRP in a sense. It's a price that the market overall tends to agree on typically. You rarely transact at MSRP, so you rarely transact at VWAP. It's just an agreed upon average price. So that's how we're going to get VWAP. All right, so I'll be looking above PR+1 to see if we're done discount searching. We're going to continue to try to collect inventory in what I typically call a wholesale range, where we're just ranging sideways, or there may be a slight shift in one direction or the other, but overall there's a sideways range that you can see, and that's what I call the wholesale range, where we're just collecting inventory, as much inventory as we can. Of course, we're not gonna just only collect inventory, we're gonna sell some along the way. Right now our inventory collection, our range is between 330 and 320. So just to keep that simple, inventory is around 330. Got supply right here at 340. I'll say a nice little 15 to 20 point range that we're playing around in. quite done collecting inventory yet. Searching for some more inventory. As we release supply back down to our inventory of 330. That's what we like to collect inventory, around 330 and below. Picked up some real quick, found a couple to add to our inventory. And we're gonna sell some of that off really quickly. If we break higher, we're fully stocked and we're ready to really try to profit from the rest of the market. If not, we need to look for some more inventory. Alright, so that's our marketing. We've marketed to the rest of the market. We're testing who's up here, who's ready to buy. How many customers do we have up here? And if we see enough of a crowd, we're going to continue to keep selling off our inventory as supply. As high as they're willing to purchase our inventory from us, or take our supply from us. Wholesaler must not be seeing a whole lot of customer interest up there, so we're going back. We need to get some more inventory at lower prices. We ran out of supply. Maybe we didn't get enough inventory before, so we got to go find some more inventory to satisfy our customers at the higher prices. Back to our inventory zone at 330. See some more that's on sale. Let's go pick those up. So this, what happens here, will tell us what our wholesaler saw above 340. Wholesaler must then see a whole lot of participation above 340, so we're looking for more discounts because we are selling a little bit of the inventory that we're collecting along the way. Above 340, the wholesaler, when they started selling off that supply, they realized that they didn't see a lot of interest at those prices. So being a smart business person, a businessman or woman, the wholesaler decided, so let me go find some more and build my inventory from the product at lower prices. So we went and we found some at 310, selling some of that off, going back to get some more inventory. Short-term supply is at around 319, 320. Still looking for discounts. Building inventory around 306, 307. Searching for more discounts. One key thing to note though, in terms of just getting, not necessarily related to specifically the wholesale, and I think something that I was listening to or watched yesterday kind of triggered this, is when we see price move, and it's just like, the only reason I want to say this, I want to say it cleanly as possible, because I probably clipped this out and posted elsewhere, because a lot of people don't understand, especially on the retail side, a lot of retail don't understand what actually moves price. So when we see price move, it's not necessarily that we're looking for any buyer or seller, price only moves when you get an order match. So once we see price go up or down, we've already found an order match, and we're just, the market, the wholesaler or the market makers are looking for those order matches, and they're making decisions on how they want to, you know, how they want to execute those order matches to facilitate, you know, the buying and the selling throughout the market, or throughout the day. Appreciate it, Origin. All right, so now we are, I still would call this an overall, gotta look at the big picture and zoom out. We're still searching for discounts, but of course, as we build our inventory, we're gonna continue to do what we've been doing. And you know, we can see the pattern in what the wholesaler is doing by how they're collecting inventory, they're building their inventory, and they're selling some along the way, building some more inventory, selling some of that supply along the way. And we're just gonna keep doing this until more customers show up, and we have more customers to sell to with a big enough inventory. Yeah, it's definitely not easy. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. They have to make the market manage the risk of doing that, at the same time find value in it. This is the other thing I wanted to bring up, which is value. So what's value? And value is simply what someone is willing to let's just call it the price, because it's not always price, but whatever someone is willing to agree to make a transaction. So in this case, the price. So right now we're at 306. Someone found value at 306 because they were willing to buy or sell at 306, or buy and sell at 306. All right, so our wholesale is finding, we're slowly marking up price, finding inventory around 300. Sort of like the VWAP, that's the typical, these whole numbers are agreed upon prices throughout the market. So we know people like simple stuff. People like it to be easy. So 300 is an easy number to look at and to register. So that's why a lot of times you see participation around these whole numbers. All right, so the wholesaler must found a decent customer base to sell to, because now we're marking up price. Zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, we're still not anywhere close. We're still at cheap prices. So we're nowhere near the max price that people have been willing to purchase our supply from us, or to take our supply off our hands. So since our wholesaler is not continuing to mark up price, kind of tells us what kind of the temperature of the market at this current moment. So that max was at 420. Very popular number as well, but I think for other anyway. Where was I going with that? I was kind of distracting myself when I said 420. So along the way, our wholesaler had to collect a lot of inventory. Now, they were dumping some of that inventory as supply, as they were looking for discounts and discounting prices to get, to release the supply. But we did have to take on a lot of inventory to do that. So this is why usually price doesn't just, every once in a while, if wholesale has a big enough inventory, we can just slice through lower prices or slice through higher prices if the market is hot enough, right? And sometimes we have to just sell at those lower prices, even though we may have to take a short-term or temporary hit. But eventually we're going to find participation in the market to where we can start facilitating and moving that inventory in order to make our money for the day. So there's a target that the wholesaler has. They're looking to make every single day. They don't go into the market without this goal that they have of how much they want to make for the day. And without getting too deep in the weeds of it, how I'm reading this right now is we're just trying to facilitate our inventory in a way that we can. We're still trying to hit that target, right? We had to take on a lot of inventory. Right now, we're just moving inventory in and out of our warehouse, and we're trying to get as much money with the amount of participation from the quote-unquote customers that we're seeing right now in this market. So we're collecting inventory, selling some of it off, going back collecting some more inventory. If we see enough participation, we'll release that and we'll get as much as we can off of that until that we run out of buyers at the prices that we're trying to sell it at, and then we'll go back and we'll collect some more. So right now we're still finding buyers at higher prices relative to where we bought our latest inventory from. I know this perspective is kind of challenging to understand for some people. Of course, it's always going to be nothing is 100%. So I'm only saying that to say this is why I think it's a benefit to also study business. If you're going to trade, even if you're trying to have your own business or not, it's key to study business and how business is typically operated, to understand like marketing and inventory management and understanding buyer or consumer. That's the word I've been looking for all morning. Consumer psychology and all of these different things, and understanding how, what it takes to run a successful business. It helps to study that stuff as well, because then that'll kind of, it'll help you run your trading as a business, and then it'll help you understand the business side of these financial markets. So we last caught some quick supply at 340. Let's see if we find quick inventory. Sorry, at 340. Let's see if we get more inventory at 340, or did we exhaust that area and do we look for discounts? So it looks like we exhausted that 340 area specifically, but we are finding inventory at 330. Since we didn't have a transaction at 340 before, that can turn into supply. to sell at a certain price, someone else is also willing to, if we're willing to buy at a certain price, someone else is also willing to buy at a certain price. So this is how typically inventory turns into supply, what we saw right there. Before we bought off of 340. So there's a buy interest there at 340. So we bought at 330 and then we sold to those that are now trying to buy at 340. Because you always got someone who's, the copycat is always there. And someone saw us buy at 340 before. Like I said earlier, we're not in this wholesale business by ourselves. And also retailers looking at that. So if they're looking at us and they saw that this wholesaler that we're running this perspective off of, they saw them buy at 340. They're gonna wanna, if the price gets back down there, if the interest gets back down there, the value is, once it makes its way back to that price, then they're gonna try to copy that and do the same thing. And as a wholesaler, if we're smart, we'll use that to our advantage. And that's what we saw in that last little sequence of events. Short-term perspective, we're kind of just still trying to get as much value as we can down here, trying to collect as much inventory as we can. I wouldn't necessarily call this a discount phase, our markup. We're just, as of right now, this could turn into a wholesale range between 330 and 360. Of course, back into inventory at 330. That will give us a better picture of what our wholesaler sees. Wholesalers collecting inventory at 330. That's what we saw the price stall. Found some quick discounts, and now we're looking to profit from some of this inventory. Back to our supply, this temporary supply zone around PR plus 1. Now we do have a supply range right here from 350. I actually would say it's from like 345-ish to 360. And again, we, as the wholesaler, we understand what the rest of the market or what other participants are looking at. So sometimes we will front run these prices that other participants are looking at. Right there for supply, 360 was that area. So we front run that because we know we're gonna get participation before that. Back into inventory. Looking for more discounts. Back to MSRP. There's always someone willing to transact at MSRP because we set that as the average price. Looking for some more inventory. Market is still somewhat cold, so we need to go get some more inventory and just facilitating, managing our inventory, facilitating products. Doing our best to make as much money as we can in the middle. And I mentioned that in the middle because once we sell off our inventory, we're not necessarily selling it to someone who's just trying to keep it. So we can be selling it to someone who's trying to keep that product that we just sold to them, or we could be selling it to someone that's also trying to do the same thing, and which is, so in market terms, other retail traders who may be trying to purchase this product, this financial instrument product from the wholesaler, and they're also trying to make money off of it. But as a wholesaler, we kind of really don't care what they're trying to do with it. All we want to know, hey, we have this product here from my inventory as supply to sell to you. Do you want to buy it? If you want to buy it, okay, let's go ahead and we're going to make that handshake there, and I'm going to sell you my supply, and then you can do what you want to do with it. All I'm worried about as a wholesaler, did I make money on that exchange? And it's just a lot of back and forth. So I think I'm going to end my narration here. So if you're watching this in the after the fact, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave that in the comment section. I am going to start making more content based off of this concept. I was thinking about that last night. But let's just put it this way. I'm in this creative space right now, so if there's anything that you have questions about that is on your mind, I would definitely, take advantage of that, me being in this creative space. And I got a lot of things that I've already created. I just need to put it together in a way that where I can put it out. It's probably mostly going to be on as a article on mv3trader.com, and then of course I'll keep making videos and here and my other social media platforms. So get these questions off. If you're listening to this at this point, get your questions off while I'm in a creative space, and I have the space to actually create that I do now. We're just continuing to look for discounts. So a key area from here that I'll be looking at is the session low. If it does feel like we want to make it down there. Now we did find a lot of inventory off of PR-1. So we'll see how our wholesaler uses that information. Also with how their perspective of the temperature of the market, if we do make prices that low, of course we can expect some front run of that. It seems like we're already in that front run phase where we're releasing the inventory, the latest bit of inventory that we got around 270, and we're marking up price from there. But that's really only a front run of what the rest of our participants are looking at from the lows and the highs of before. So that's where we're at right now. That's what I would be looking at for the rest of the day. I wouldn't be surprised if anything, at this point, the market can really do anything. Like, I can see us ranging out for the rest of the day. I can also see some sell-off. Look at this there, daily perspective. From the daily print is painted in a way, or it's painted for a reversal. So there's a lot of perspectives that I can see playing out for the rest of the day. If I was to continue to participate, what I would do is I would just flow with it, whatever the market gives based off of my strategy. I say this last little piece, and then I'll end mine. That a lot of what I've heard before from other, mostly the retail side, that likes to speculate, that hasn't been working out so much since, I guess probably since July, late July, August. And I'm noticing a lot of frustration and struggle on the retail side of the game. So this is why I've definitely maintained my strategy and looked. I've been improving my strategy to just flow with whatever the market is giving at the current time, and not really get too caught up in speculation. And just be consistent to the strategy, because from what I've seen since I've been studying and participating, is consistency to a particular strategy is what works the best, more so than trying to speculate on what you think is going to happen based off of historical events. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream for the day. Hope everybody have a good weekend. Enjoy your holiday for those who that it's a holiday for. And I'll see y'all sometime next week, maybe Tuesday. We'll see, because next week is going to be a busy week for me in terms of the 9 to 5. So if not Tuesday, for sure Friday. I think that's going to do it for the rest of the day. Trade it easy.